three young climbers set out on an adventure that would change their lives forever. Ethan Miller, Josh Clark, and Liam Bennett, friends bound by courage and curiosity, mysteriously vanished during a climb, leaving no clues behind. As months pass without answers, hope slowly fades. But 8 months later, a shocking discovery deep within the mountain reignites the mystery, shaking the community to its core. What happened to these climbers, and what hidden truths lie buried within Mount Aspiring? Queenstown, New Zealand, April 12, 2014. The rising sun gently painted the majestic slopes of Mount Aspiring in shades of gold and lavender. Standing proudly in the heart of New Zealand's southern Alps, this mountain had captivated adventurers for generations, its beauty matched only by its treacherous, hidden dangers. Mist curled softly around its peak, as if guarding secrets no human was meant to uncover. At the base of the mountain, Ethan Miller, Josh Clark, and Liam Bennett stood smiling, looking upward in awe. Ethan, tall and confident, ran a hand through his dark hair, his deep brown eyes shining with determination. Josh stood next to him, carefully adjusting his equipment with meticulous precision, eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses. Liam, more slender, leaned casually against their jeep, joking to mask his nervousness as he checked his harness for the third time. Ethan raised a drone high above their heads, capturing footage for the trip's documentary. He shouted cheerfully into the drone's camera, "Welcome to the biggest adventure of our lives." Josh chuckled softly, shaking his head at Ethan's enthusiasm. Liam forced a confident smile, hiding the anxiety slowly tightening his chest. Nobody knew about his deep-seated fear of tight, enclosed spaces, a fear born years ago, trapped under debris after an earthquake. To his friends, Liam was always the optimistic joker, the life of every adventure. Short flashbacks painted each friend's reason for climbing. Ethan remembered the old photographs of his father, a famed climber who had mysteriously disappeared on this very mountain 2 decades ago. Ethan softly touched the silver medal around his neck, his father's precious keepsake, vowing silently that he'd finish this climb to honor his father's memory. Josh recalled handing in his police badge. 2 years earlier, after a devastating accident in which an innocent boy had lost his life due to Josh's misjudgment. This climb was his chance at redemption, an opportunity to reconnect with his courage. Liam's quick smile hid his growing dread as he hummed quietly under his breath, a Beatles song that comforted him whenever he felt anxious. Today, he wanted to prove to himself, most of all, that he could overcome the fear that always threatened to swallow him whole. Nearby, their families watched anxiously. Josh's father, Mr. Clark, a retired policeman, held his arms crossed tightly, concern etched deeply into his weathered face. He'd learned long ago never to take safety for granted. Liam's younger sister, Sarah, filmed the trio's preparations with her phone, already posting updates online. Ethan's mother stayed silent, eyes sad, quietly reliving the pain of losing her husband here years ago. Ethan approached his mother gently. "We'll be careful, Mom. I'll bring Dad's spirit home." She hugged him tightly, whispering, "Come back safe, Ethan." Josh shook hands firmly with his father, who quietly advised, "Double-check everything, son. Remember your training." Liam playfully ruffled Sarah's hair, masking his anxiety with humor. "Don't wait up for me." Soon, the trio waved goodbye, hoisted their heavy backpacks, and set off into the bright, promising dawn, unaware that Mount Aspiring already held other plans. The early stages of the climb felt routine, the young men laughing and chatting freely. Ethan led confidently, Josh closely inspecting every foothold. Liam, bringing up the rear, kept the mood light, masking the tension in his chest. They documented everything on camera, capturing breathtaking scenes and carefree jokes memories. Meant for happier days. Hours later, as they reached higher elevations, the mountain grew colder, wind sharper. The sun dipped, casting shadows over the rugged terrain. Ethan paused at the entrance of a narrow cave, checking his map. This should save us some time. Josh peered skeptically at the tight passage. He glanced subtly toward Liam, noticing his friend had suddenly stopped smiling. Liam's fingers shook slightly as he adjusted his harness. "You okay, man?" Josh asked quietly. Liam swallowed hard but forced a carefree grin, shrugging. "Yeah, just thinking we should have packed more snacks." Josh noticed Liam humming. Quietly again, always the Beatles. Respecting Liam's private battle, Josh gave him an encouraging nod, letting him deal silently with his fears. Ethan led the way into the narrow passage. Josh followed next, glancing back to check Liam was keeping up. The confined space seemed to tighten around Liam with every step. His heart raced, each breath more difficult than the last. Ethan called from ahead, "Not far now, guys." Suddenly, Liam stopped. The walls seemed closer, colder. His breathing quickened, panic rising. Ethan turned back, sensing Liam's hesitation. "It's okay, Liam. Breathe. We're right here." Josh gently coaxed. "Take it slow, buddy." Liam nodded, breathing deep, stepping forward slowly. He made it through, gasping relief into the open air of the larger cavern beyond. Ethan patted his shoulder. "You did great, man." As night approached, the friends continued deeper, unaware they had drifted slightly off course. Ethan checked the GPS, confused. "Signal's acting weird. Mine too," Josh replied, tapping his radio. Static crackled. Liam glanced around nervously. Strange, distant noises echoed faintly through the darkness, almost whispers. Ethan dismissed it as wind. Liam wasn't convinced, but kept quiet, humming softly to steady himself. Darkness enveloped the mountain swiftly. Visibility dropped too. Mere feet. Ethan stopped again, shining his flashlight around, trying to orient himself. We might have missed our turn. Josh felt uneasy. "Let's radio base. Let them know our position." Static filled the radio. Nothing else. Josh shook his head, frustration rising. Liam whispered tensely, "Guys, something feels off here." Before Ethan could respond, a sudden burst of wind knocked the flashlight from his grip, sending it tumbling into darkness below. Ethan cursed. "Softly, we need to move. Let's take this passage, should lead us back." Liam froze, seeing the new passage narrower than the first. His throat tightened. Ethan placed a reassuring hand on Liam's shoulder. "I'll go first. It's okay." Josh nodded calmly, reassuring Liam once again. "Right behind you, Liam. Just keep singing, buddy." As Ethan disappeared into the narrow opening, Liam closed his eyes briefly, forcing himself forward, humming louder to push away the fear. Josh followed close behind. The passage seemed endless, oppressive. Soon, Liam's heart pounded deafeningly. He stopped abruptly, panic overtaking him. I can't breathe." Josh turned immediately, placing a firm hand on Liam's back. "We're here. Just breathe, slow and easy." As Liam slowly regained control, Ethan's urgent voice echoed from ahead. "Guys, hurry! Something's here!" Liam and Josh hurried forward, emerging quickly into another cavern chamber. Ethan stood still, staring intently into the shadows. "I thought I saw someone." They shone their remaining flashlights, finding nothing. "Let's just keep moving," Ethan whispered nervously. Deeper into the labyrinth, their radios. Static turned deafeningly loud. Equipment lights flickered oddly. Liam murmured anxiously, "What is happening here?" Suddenly, the static stopped. Complete silence fell heavily upon them. Ethan tried his radio again, dead silence. Josh's flashlight flickered once, twice, then died. Only Ethan's dim light remained. He swallowed nervously, touching the metal around his neck. "Stay together," Ethan whispered, his voice trembling slightly. Then Ethan's remaining flashlight suddenly flickered out, plunging them into absolute darkness. Hours later, at the mountain's base camp, Mr. Clark paced nervously. Sarah tried calling Liam again, her face pale. Ethan's mother gripped her husband's old climbing photos, whispering prayers softly. The drone, programmed earlier by Ethan to return automatically, hummed faintly back toward camp, its camera flickering as its battery drained. Sarah quickly downloaded the footage, desperate for clues. Families crowded around, eyes wide in horror. The video clearly showed Liam's backpack abandoned oddly on the cave floor, gear spilling out. There was no sign of the three friends. Number. Movement, no voices, just silence. And there, with that haunting image, the lonely backpack illuminated eerily by the drone's dying light, the footage ended abruptly, plunging everyone at base camp into stunned silence. The three friends had vanished completely into the shadows of Mount Aspiring, leaving behind only a disturbing mystery that would soon captivate the entire world. The sun rose again over Mount Aspiring, indifferent to the turmoil below. It had been 3 days since Ethan, Josh, and Liam vanished into the mountain's shadowy depths. Helicopters buzzed overhead, and rescue teams scoured trails tirelessly, combing every crevice, cavern, and ledge. Bright orange vests dotted the rugged slopes like fireflies in daylight. At base camp, desperate family members gathered, huddled under a makeshift shelter. Liam's sister, Sarah Bennett, anxiously tapped her phone, her fingers trembling as she uploaded yet another update online. Her eyes, red from sleepless nights, met the worried gaze of Ethan's mother, who sat clutching her husband's old climbing helmet, whispering silent prayers. Nearby stood Josh's father, Mr. Clark. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and carried an air of authority that came naturally from decades on the police force. Yet now, stripped of power, he felt helpless. The stern expression that had defined him as a policeman now softened into anxious concern. He overheard conversations between rescuers and police officers, each word deepening his frustration. "They've vanished, sir," said one young rescuer to the police chief. "No footprints, no gear, nothing." Mr. Clark stepped closer. "How can that be possible? 3 experienced climbers can't simply vanish." The chief turned to him, sympathetic but resigned. "We're doing everything possible, sir. But the weather's unpredictable, and that mountain has a way of hiding things." The days dragged into weeks. Media coverage intensified as the mystery deepened. Sarah's posts about Liam and his friends went viral, spreading globally. Online communities began spinning theories, supernatural occurrences, foul play, conspiracies. But the truth remained stubbornly elusive. Late one evening, Sarah sat alone, flipping through old photos of Liam on her laptop. She paused on a recent video of Liam joking nervously before the climb. Something bothered her about his expression, the hidden anxiety she'd always suspected but never confronted. Sarah recalled a day years ago when Liam had come home after the earthquake that trapped him underground. His smile afterward never fully reached his eyes. She now regretted never truly asking if he was okay. A knock interrupted her thoughts. It was Mr. Clark, his face etched with worry and exhaustion. "Sarah," he said gently, "can we talk?" She nodded, letting him in. He sat heavily, sighing deeply before speaking. "I've been through enough investigations to recognize when something isn't right," he began. "They're not telling us everything." She studied his face. "What do you mean?" Equipment doesn't vanish, Sarah. Experienced climbers leave tracks. Something else happened. What can we do? Sarah asked softly. I'll find out, Mr. Clark promised, his voice firm with determination. Meanwhile, inside a cramped office at the South Alpine Times, Noah Jones, a seasoned investigative journalist, stared intently at his computer screen. His desk was cluttered with notes, maps, and coffee cups. Noah was known locally as an obsessive truth seeker, relentless in pursuit of hidden stories. He replayed footage from the drone again and again, pausing on Liam's abandoned backpack, alone and strangely intact on the cave floor. It made no sense. If they had fled in panic or distress, why leave behind such essential gear? Noah leaned back, rubbing his tired eyes. His gut told him this wasn't simply a climbing accident. He reached for his phone, dialing Mr. Clark's number. Flashbacks gently illuminated memories of the three friends. Josh had always been quiet, meticulous. Mr. Clark vividly remembered Josh's last day as a policeman, how his son had come home shattered, haunted by the accidental death of a teenage boy during an operation gone wrong. The guilt Josh carried was immense, and this climb had been his son's attempt at redemption. Ethan's mother remembered her son's obsessive quest to honor his father. Ethan had carried a heavy burden, pressured by expectations and haunted by uncertainty over his father's mysterious disappearance 2 decades earlier. Now history cruelly repeated itself, and Liam, cheerful, playful, Liam secretly struggled daily with claustrophobia, hiding his anxiety behind humor and optimism, determined never to be a burden to his friends. Weeks later, a sudden discovery reignited hope. A team re-exploring a previously searched cave stumbled upon Liam's backpack untouched, neatly placed, almost deliberately displayed. This cave had been exhaustively inspected several times before. How had they missed it? The finding brought more questions than answers. Had the climbers deliberately wandered off their trail, or had someone forced them to? Mr. Clark, increasingly skeptical of the official search efforts, confronted the chief of police once more. You checked that cave before, Mr. Clark pressed. How did that backpack suddenly appear? The chief hesitated, uncomfortable. Maybe our men overlooked it. It's easy to miss. I don't believe in coincidences, Mr. Clark interrupted sharply. Do you? Silence stretched between them. That night, Noah Jones sat in a cafe, tapping his pen nervously against a notebook. He glanced up as Mr. Clark entered, taking the seat opposite him. I appreciate your call, Mr. Clark said, his eyes focused sharply. Tell me what you found. Noah leaned forward, voice low but steady. I did some digging into the history of Mount Aspiring. You're aware this isn't the first unexplained disappearance. Mr. Clark nodded slowly, wary. I've heard. Rumors, more than rumors, Noah continued, pulling out old articles and maps. Going back a century, there have been multiple vanishings, climbers, hikers, adventurers, all unsolved. What are you suggesting? Mr. Clark asked carefully. Something's hidden on that mountain, Noah explained. These disappearances share similarities. Gear inexplicably found later, no tracks, no signs of struggle. Mr. Clark's jaw tightened. Why isn't the police investigating this? Maybe they're unaware, or maybe unwilling. Perhaps they don't see the connections. Either way, someone needs to look deeper, Noah replied. Mr. Clark eyed the reporter carefully. What do you propose? We join forces, Noah suggested without hesitation. You know policing. I have investigative resources. Together, we can uncover what happened to Ethan, Josh, and Liam. A long silence passed. Finally, Mr. Clark nodded firmly. Let's find our boys. Their private investigation began immediately. In dusty archives, Noah meticulously searched old documents and newspapers. Mr. Clark combed police records, quietly using contacts to gather restricted information. Days became weeks. The official search ended quietly, deemed hopeless. But Sarah Bennett's online campaign gained momentum, keeping public attention alive. Worldwide curiosity about Mount Aspiring's vanishing trio grew. One late evening, as rain tapped softly on the office window, Noah sat among stacks of faded documents. He felt defeated, hopeless, until one old, weathered document caught his eye. It was a handwritten report, dated 1898, detailing the disappearance of gold prospectors near Mount Aspiring. Intrigued, Noah read carefully, noting a reference to a hidden passage, secretly used by smugglers to transport stolen gold through hidden tunnels beneath the mountain. Noah's pulse quickened. "Hidden passage," he whispered, his heart racing. Grabbing his phone, he called Mr. Clark urgently. Mr. Clark answered groggy, awakened from sleep. "Jones? Noah," he corrected quickly. "You need to see this." An hour later, Mr. Clark was at Noah's side, reading the fragile document under lamplight, eyes wide with newfound hope. Noah finally broke the silence, his voice filled with conviction. "I think they found something far bigger than a simple climbing accident." The two men exchanged knowing glances, aware they had stumbled onto a mystery deeper and darker than either had imagined. Outside, the rain grew heavier, drumming rhythmically against the window, an ominous echo of secrets still hidden beneath the shadowed slopes of Mount Aspiring. 8 long months had passed since Ethan, Josh, and Liam disappeared into the mysterious depths of Mount Aspiring. Official search efforts had long ceased, leaving behind only unanswered questions and grieving families. Life had reluctantly moved forward, but for some, the mountain still held secrets that refused to rest. On a bright summer morning, Mark Holloway, an experienced mountain guide known for his expertise in navigating the treacherous slopes of Mount Aspiring, led a small group of tourists on a carefully planned route. Mark was a respected figure in the climbing community, tall and lean, with a calm presence that reassured even the most anxious hikers. His sharp eyes scanned every ridge and crevice, always alert for danger or discovery. As the group paused to admire the breathtaking view, Mark's attention was suddenly drawn to a narrow crack in the rock formation just ahead. It was partially hidden by overgrown moss and tangled vines. Something about it felt out of place. "Wait here," he instructed the group firmly. "I'll just take a quick look." Mark stepped closer, pushing aside the vegetation carefully. The opening was narrow, barely wide enough for one person to squeeze through. He hesitated briefly, then slipped inside, guided by curiosity and instinct. The interior was dark and cramped, and the air smelled stale, untouched. As his eyes adjusted, Mark noticed something immediately disturbing, what appeared to be the shape of a person wedged tightly into the narrowest part of the tunnel. His pulse quickened as he moved carefully forward, shining his flashlight to get a clearer view. A chill ran down his spine. There, trapped within the tight, rocky walls, was a mummified body, skin dried and taut against the bones. Mark's heart sank as his light illuminated the face clearly. He recognized it instantly from countless missing person posters. Ethan Miller. Ethan's arms were extended upward, desperately frozen in place as though still struggling to free himself. Clutched tightly in his fist, Mark noticed a small silver medal. The guide's stomach churned, realizing this poor man had endured a slow and agonizing death. With shaking hands, Mark quickly retreated from the cave. Re-emerging into sunlight, he radioed immediately for emergency services. His stunned tour group watched silently as their adventure turned into a grim revelation. The news of Ethan Miller's body spread rapidly, reigniting global interest in the tragic Mount Aspiring mystery. Media teams rushed back to Queenstown, swarming around the mountain base. Families of the missing climbers were forced to relive their pain publicly once again. For Mr. Clark, Ethan's discovery brought overwhelming dread. The retired policeman stared blankly at his television, haunted by thoughts of his own son, Josh. Could Josh's fate have been the same? A sharp knock at the door jolted him from his thoughts. He opened it to find Noah Jones, the journalist who had become his investigative partner. Noah's face was tense, determination gleaming in his dark eyes. "You heard?" Noah asked softly. Mr. Clark nodded heavily. "I can't stop thinking that Josh might be." Noah cut him off firmly. "Don't. We still don't know anything about Josh or Liam. Ethan's body proves nothing more than tragedy. It doesn't tell us what really happened. We must keep digging." Mr. Clark straightened, grateful for Noah's resilience. "Where do we start?" Noah's voice lowered conspiratorially. "At the source. We need to see that cave for ourselves." Under renewed pressure from intense media scrutiny, the local police reluctantly reopened search operations, directing teams to the cave Mock Holloway had found. Helicopters circled overhead, rescuers combed through tunnels, but the deeper mystery remained unsolved. Officials seemed wary of what else might lie hidden beneath the mountain's surface. As days passed, without new developments, Noah and Mr. Clark grew impatient. Late one night, they secretly decided to investigate independently. Equipped with climbing gear, flashlights, and old maps, they approached Mount Aspiring under the cover of darkness. Entering the cave felt oppressive, the narrow walls pressing around them like a tomb. Mr. Clark fought his own anxiety, driven forward by thoughts of Josh. As they moved deeper, the atmosphere became colder, eerier. They eventually reached the cramped passage where Ethan had been found. Noah paused respectfully, noticing the desperate claw marks Ethan had left behind in the rock. Mr. Clark stared sadly at the spot, silently offering a prayer. But Noah's attention was soon drawn further ahead. "Look over here," he whispered. Urgently. The passage extended deeper than the rescue teams had indicated. At first glance, it appeared blocked by fallen rocks, but on closer inspection, it seemed carefully disguised. They removed several stones, revealing another hidden entrance, meticulously concealed. "Someone deliberately hid this," Noah muttered, breath quickening. Mr. Clark hesitated only briefly before nodding decisively. "Then we must find out why." Together, they squeezed through the newly discovered gap, emerging into a much larger chamber. They stood in shock. This wasn't a natural formation. Instead, a tunnel stretched far ahead, clearly man-made, ancient but reinforced in recent years. They exchanged a cautious glance before proceeding further down the mysterious tunnel. As they moved, their lights caught unexpected reflections cameras. Modern surveillance equipment had been installed discreetly along the walls, indicating someone was closely monitoring this secret passage. "This isn't just history," Noah whispered nervously. "It's still in use." Suddenly, faint sounds echoed through the tunnel ahead, voices speaking quietly but urgently. Mr. Clark raised a finger to his lips, signaling silence. Their hearts pounded, senses heightened. Noah's eyes widened, realizing the gravity of their situation. He leaned close, whispering tensely, "We need to leave, now." Mr. Clark shook his head, determination etched deeply into his face. "Not yet. Not until we know who's behind this." The voices grew louder, footsteps approaching quickly. Noah's breathing quickened in panic, but Mr. Clark held his ground, gripping Noah's shoulder reassuringly. "We'll find somewhere to hide." he whispered calmly. They quickly extinguished their lights, retreating to a shadowy crevice in the rock. Moments later, two figures emerged into view, illuminated by handheld lanterns. They spoke softly but urgently, their faces partly obscured. Noah strained to hear clearly, catching only fragments. Double quotes. They found the body. Too risky. Now. Double quotes. Double quotes. Move quickly. Mr. Clark's eyes narrowed. Whoever these men were, they knew about Ethan's body being found. This confirmed his suspicions. Someone had been hiding secrets beneath this mountain. Perhaps for years. The figures vanished back into darkness, their footsteps fading slowly. Mr. Clark and Noah stood silently in their hiding spot, their minds racing. After several tense moments, Noah finally whispered, "What's our next move?" Mr. Clark's voice was resolute, a fierce determination filling his tone. "We gather evidence. The police won't be able to deny hard proof." Carefully retracing their steps, they emerged from the tunnel unseen, hearts racing with adrenaline. Reaching safety outside, both men breathed deeply, shaken but resolute. "We stumbled into something dangerous," Noah admitted quietly. "Are we prepared for this?" Mr. Clark faced him, unflinching. "I lost Josh once. I won't lose him again without a fight." As they walked away, the mountain loomed silently behind them, beautiful yet sinister, guarding secrets far darker than Fenna. Either man had imagined. Their mission had changed from a simple search for missing climbers into a dangerous battle against hidden enemies. They now understood Ethan's tragic end was merely the start of uncovering a deeper, more disturbing truth beneath Mount Aspiring. And though fear lingered in their hearts, both Noah Jones and Mr. Clark knew there was no turning back. The journey to truth had begun, and they would follow it wherever it led, even into the darkest shadows hidden beneath the mountain's ancient stones. Mr. Clark and Noah stood silently in the darkness of the secret tunnel beneath Mount Aspiring. Their hearts pounded as distant voices faded slowly into silence. Seconds felt like hours as they held their breath, waiting anxiously until they were certain the mysterious figures were gone. Finally, Mr. Clark whispered urgently, "We have to move now. We can't risk staying here any longer." They quickly retraced their path out of the hidden passage, carefully replacing stones to hide their presence. Emerging safely under the cover of darkness, the night air felt cooler, somehow heavier than before. Neither spoke until they reached Noah's vehicle, parked discreetly at the foot of the mountain. "We're being watched," Noah said quietly, eyes scanning nervously around. "Clearly," Mr. Clark replied, jaw tense. "That surveillance gear wasn't amateur. Whoever's behind this knows exactly what they're doing." Noah started the engine, glancing back anxiously in the rear-view mirror. "We need solid proof before we approach the authorities again." The next days became a blur of relentless investigation. Noah buried himself in research, piecing together fragments of historical evidence and modern-day disappearances. Late nights at the South Alpine Times office turned into mornings without rest, fueled by coffee and determination. Soon, a chilling picture emerged. Noah uncovered police records and border security reports pointing to a complex smuggling operation beneath Mount Aspiring. Criminal networks had cleverly utilized the mountain's remote, largely unknown cave systems for decades, first for gold smuggling, now trafficking narcotics, weapons, and even people. The hidden passage, forgotten by most, was central to their operations. Mr. Clark listened silently, anger and grief deepening his expression. He understood now what Ethan, Josh, and Liam had unwittingly stumbled upon. What if our boys witnessed something they shouldn't have? Mr. Clark asked, fear evident in his voice. Noah nodded gravely. They probably saw the operation and, tried to escape. Flashbacks vividly recounted the fate of the 3 climbers months before. As Ethan, Josh, and Liam moved deeper into Mount Aspiring's tunnels, believing they were finding their way out, they accidentally entered a wide cavern. Filled with crates labeled in foreign languages, surveillance screens flickering on one wall. Shocked, Ethan immediately urged his friends back toward the exit. But footsteps approached rapidly from behind. In panic, they fled into a narrow passage. Ethan, leading the way, tried squeezing through first, but quickly became stuck. Despite his desperate struggle, he couldn't free himself. He yelled for his friends to run. Josh and Liam hesitated, unwilling to leave Ethan behind. Before they could help, armed men appeared, capturing Liam and Josh, forcing them away as Ethan helplessly watched, trapped in the darkness. The haunting. Images lingered heavily on Mr. Clark's mind, fueling his determination. Days later, Noah arranged a covert meeting with an imprisoned smuggler in Auckland, hoping for concrete answers. The prison visiting room was cold and sterile, the air thick with tension. Noah leaned forward, eyes steady. "You operated in Mount Aspiring's tunnels," Noah stated bluntly. "Tell me everything." The prisoner, a thin man named Ian Ross, eyed Noah suspiciously before shrugging resignedly. "Those tunnels go deeper than anyone knows," Ian began quietly. "Last year, I saw 2 young guys locked in one of the holding chambers underground. They'd been there a long time, kept alive only because they might prove useful later." Noah's heartbeat quickened. "Did you hear their names?" "One was called Liam," Ian confirmed, his voice emotionless. "I never heard the other one's name." Noah felt breathless. "It had to be Josh and Liam. How do we find these tunnels?" Noah pressed urgently. Ian shook his head. "You don't. If you know too much, you'll end up trapped yourself. Leave it alone." Noah leaned back, frustrated but determined. He now had solid evidence to present to the authorities. It was time for action. Mr. Clark confronted the police chief immediately, sharing Noah's findings. "We need an urgent search operation," he insisted forcefully. "Lives are at stake." But bureaucracy stood firmly in his path. "Without stronger evidence, we can't risk a major operation," the chief replied, eyes avoiding Mr. Clark's pleading gaze. "We need approvals from higher authorities." Angered by the delays, Mr. Clark stood, fists clenched. "How many lives are worth the paperwork?" he demanded sharply, storming out of the station. Noah found Mr. Clark outside, pacing restlessly. "We're running out of time," Mr. Clark said bitterly. Noah took a deep breath. "Then we find more proof ourselves. If the police won't act, we must." That night, Noah and Mr. Clark secretly returned to Mount Aspiring, determined to gather undeniable evidence. Beneath moonlight, the mountain's majestic beauty concealed its dark secrets once more. They silently navigated the caves, armed only with cameras, flashlights, and courage. Entering the hidden passage again, their pulse quickened upon discovering new equipment installed, clear sign the criminals had intensified security. Noah quietly filmed everything, his heart racing. Suddenly, footsteps echoed nearby. They quickly hid in a narrow recess, hearts pounding as 2 men walked past, speaking urgently. "They've become suspicious since finding Ethan's body," one man whispered sharply. "We need to relocate the prisoners immediately." Noah's eyes widened in alarm. Mr. Clark placed a calming hand on Noah's shoulder, signaling patience. After the men left, Noah whispered urgently, "They're still alive. We have to tell the authorities." Mr. Clark nodded, grim but hopeful. "This footage is undeniable proof." They carefully exited the cave undetected, determined and resolute. Back at Noah's office, exhaustion weighed heavily as Noah uploaded the footage. But just as he prepared the files, his phone rang sharply, startling him. He answered cautiously. An unfamiliar, distorted voice spoke coldly. "Forget the hidden passage beneath the mountain, Mr. Jones, unless you want something terrible to happen to your families." Noah froze, his blood turning cold. "Who are you?" he demanded. The voice ignored his question, repeating clearly, "This is your only warning. Drop this investigation immediately." The call abruptly ended, leaving Noah stunned and terrified. His pulse raced. He immediately dialed Mr. Clark. "We've been threatened," Noah revealed, voice shaking. "They're watching us closely." Mr. Clark's tone hardened fiercely. "They're desperate because we're getting too close. They won't stop us now." Despite fear tightening his throat, Noah agreed firmly. "We must move quickly. Tomorrow we hand this footage directly to the press and force the police to act." Late that night, both men sat together quietly, silently reflecting on everything that had unfolded. Mr. Clark's face was heavy with exhaustion, but his determination never faltered. "We're close, Noah," Mr. Clark finally spoke, breaking the silence. "I can feel it." Noah nodded slowly, his heart heavy but resolute. "We won't stop until Liam and Josh come home safely." As dawn broke over Queenstown, the hidden tunnels beneath Mount Aspiring still concealed darkness and secrets, but the walls were slowly closing in on those responsible. The anonymous threat had only strengthened Noah and Mr. Clark's resolve. They knew danger now waited around every corner, but neither would back down. For the first time since Ethan's body had been found, they felt hope mingled with urgency, ready to risk everything for the truth. Far above, the mountain stood silently, majestic yet indifferent, watching as shadows of its hidden passages crept slowly into the light. The sun had barely risen over Queenstown when police lights illuminated the base of Mount Aspiring. After weeks of frustration and resistance, the authorities finally agreed to launch a large-scale rescue operation thanks to the undeniable evidence provided by Noah and Mr. Clark. Dozens of police officers, rescue workers, and tactical teams geared up hastily. The urgency was clear in every face. Noah and Mr. Clark stood among them, their eyes filled with determination. They had waited too long for this moment. Every second now mattered. "Stay behind us," warned the police chief sternly, looking at Noah and Mr. Clark. This could become dangerous very quickly. Mr. Clark simply nodded, his expression unwavering. Nothing would stop him now. Noah felt a rush of adrenaline as the teams approached the cave entrance beneath the mountain. Weapons drawn, radios crackling nervously. Inside the tunnels, criminals monitoring surveillance screens suddenly noticed the approaching lights. "We've been compromised," one shouted. Chaos erupted as orders were shouted and weapons prepared. Flashbacks offered glimpses into the harrowing months Josh and Liam endured underground. The two friends sat shivering, chained in a small, dark chamber, exhausted and emaciated. Liam's claustrophobia had worsened dramatically, his breathing shallow and erratic. Josh constantly comforted him, fighting his own overwhelming guilt for failing to protect Ethan. "Stay with me, Liam," Josh urged gently, his voice trembling. "We'll get out of here, I promise." Liam tried to smile weakly, his voice barely audible. "I'm not afraid anymore, Josh. I just miss everyone." Josh squeezed Liam's hand tightly, refusing to surrender hope. Outside, the police teams quickly stormed the hidden tunnels. Gunfire echoed sharply, flashes illuminating dark passageways. The criminals fiercely resisted, determined to protect their secret operation. Bullets ricocheted off the walls, forcing Noah and Mr. Clark to take cover behind rocky outcroppings. "Move forward," officers shouted, returning fire courageously. Chaos filled the cavern, shouts and shots mingling in deafening echoes. Noah felt his heart racing, panic surging. He glanced toward Mr. Clark, who remained remarkably calm, eyes fixed steadily ahead. Their determination outweighed fear. Inside their cell, Josh and Liam heard gunshots echoing closer. Liam lifted his head weakly, eyes wide. "They're here," Josh whispered urgently, adrenaline pushing away months of exhaustion. "They found us." Suddenly, the door burst open. A guard entered hastily, grabbing Liam roughly, pulling him away. Josh, desperate, lunged forward instinctively, overpowering his own guard. The two men crashed into the ground, fighting wildly. "Josh!" Liam cried weakly, unable to defend himself. Fueled by protective instinct, Josh wrestled the guards, weapon free, knocking him unconscious. Without hesitation, he rushed toward Liam, confronting the second guard boldly. "Leave him alone." Josh roared, his voice echoing powerfully. The guard aimed his weapon, but Josh, driven by sheer determination, tackled him fiercely. A brief, intense struggle followed, ending as Josh knocked the guard unconscious. Liam collapsed, breathing erratically. Josh quickly gathered his friend in his arms. "You did it, Liam. You faced it. We're getting out now." Liam nodded weakly, tears streaming silently. "Together." Meanwhile, police teams pushed deeper into the tunnels, overpowering criminals one by one. Noah and Mr. Clark followed closely, documenting everything with cameras. Finally, they emerged into a vast, sophisticated underground complex, filled with surveillance equipment, crates of contraband, and maps marking international trafficking routes. "My God," Noah muttered in shock. "This is bigger than we imagined." But Mr. Clark's attention fixed elsewhere. He saw two weakened figures emerging slowly from a side tunnel. His heart nearly stopped. "Josh!" he called out desperately, voice breaking. Josh's exhausted eyes lifted, recognizing the voice instantly. Father and son locked eyes in an emotionally charged moment. Mr. Clark ran forward, embracing Josh tightly, holding him close as if afraid he might vanish again. "I knew you'd find us," Josh whispered hoarsely, tears spilling freely. "I never gave up hope." Mr. Clark gently held Josh's face, eyes bright with pride and relief. "I'm so proud of you, son. I love you." Beside them, Liam sank to his knees, weak but relieved. Noah quickly helped him, reassuring softly, "You're safe now, Liam. Sarah is waiting for you." Liam's eyes welled with tears, relief, overwhelming him as he whispered, "Thank you." With the complex secured, the police arrested surviving criminals, securing the area thoroughly. Noah began documenting evidence meticulously, aware this discovery would shock the world. As officers led away a handcuffed criminal leader, he glanced toward Mr. Clark and Noah, a twisted smile crossing his face. "You think this is over?" he mocked coldly. "Mount Aspiring hides darker secrets than this. You don't even understand what you've uncovered." Mr. Clark approached him, voice firm but curious. "What secrets?" The man's smile widened darkly. "Ask Ethan's father." The words stunned Mr. Clark, Noah's eyes widening sharply. In confusion, "Wait," Noah demanded urgently, stepping forward. "What do you mean?" The man said nothing more, eyes glinting with sinister amusement as police took him away, leaving the words hanging ominously. Josh and Liam received immediate medical attention. As rescue workers carried them out gently, sunlight touched their faces for the first time in 8 months, its warmth overwhelming them emotionally. Cameras captured the dramatic rescue, the footage instantly capturing worldwide attention. At base camp, Sarah Bennett ran forward, sobbing joyfully as Liam embraced her weakly. "You're okay," she whispered repeatedly, hugging him protectively. Nearby, Ethan's mother watched silently, tears mixed with grief and relief. Her son had not returned alive, but his sacrifice had brought his friends home. Ethan had fulfilled his promise. His father's medal was now in her hands, returned from the darkness. Later, Mr. Clark stood quietly with Noah, reflecting deeply. The cryptic message still troubled them both. What could Ethan's father possibly have known? Noah asked softly, breaking the silence. Mr. Clark shook his head thoughtfully. His disappearance decades ago was always suspicious. We all assumed an accident, but perhaps it was something else entirely. Noah exhaled deeply. Then maybe this mountain has always hidden secrets. Mr. Clark stared toward Mount Aspiring. Majestic yet sinister. Secrets someone killed to protect, he concluded gravely. Their victory felt bittersweet, shadowed by new mysteries emerging. But for now, the joy of rescuing Josh and Liam overshadowed everything else. Yet both men knew their search for truth was far from finished. The criminal's cryptic threat lingered hauntingly in their minds, opening new paths they feared to tread. They stood silently, side by side, as dusk settled softly over Queenstown. Mount Aspiring rose darkly before them, beautiful yet ominous, hiding truths still buried beneath its ancient stones. The words echoed once more, heavy with unspoken warnings. "You think this is over?" asked Ethan's father. Neither Noah nor Mr. Clark spoke further, knowing instinctively their journey wasn't finished. The mountain still guarded secrets older, deeper, and darker than they had yet imagined. In the weeks following the dramatic rescue operation, Mount Aspiring dominated headlines worldwide. The shocking discovery of the sophisticated criminal network hidden deep within its caves had stunned everyone. Yet for Mr. Clark and Noah Jones, one unsettling mystery still lingered. The cryptic message from the captured criminal echoed constantly in their minds. "Ask Ethan's father." Those haunting words had ignited a determination to finally uncover every secret buried beneath the mountain's shadow. Driven by this urgency, Noah and Mr. Clark delved deeper into old archives, examining dusty files and decades-old police records that had been long forgotten. Days turned into weeks as their investigation unraveled dark truths meticulously hidden for nearly 30 years. Late one evening, Noah uncovered a fragile folder labeled Robert Miller, Ethan's father. Inside were photographs, police notes, and an official report detailing the alleged climbing accident from 1994. But beneath those official papers lay another set of documents, secret police notes, suggesting foul play. Noah felt his heart pounding as he read each sentence. "Mr. Clark, you need to see this immediately," Noah called urgently, voice trembling with emotion. Mr. Clark rushed over, eyes quickly scanning the documents. His expression turned from shock to anger. They knew all along. Robert Miller didn't die in an accident. He was murdered after discovering the smuggling operation beneath Mount Aspiring. Noah nodded gravely, his voice barely audible. They staged his death to silence him. Both men sat silently, absorbing the enormity of their discovery. Ethan's father had died not because of climbing, but because he'd stumbled upon the very secrets that claimed his son's life decades later. "This ends now," Mr. Clark said firmly. "Ethan's mother deserves to know the truth." The next morning, Mr. Clark and Noah sat solemnly with Ethan's mother in her modest Queenstown home. The fragile woman held tightly onto the medal Ethan had treasured, the medal Robert Miller had left behind. Her eyes filled with tears as she listened silently, finally understanding the painful truth hidden from her for so long. "So Robert didn't abandon us," she whispered, voice breaking. "He was trying to protect us." Double quotes. Mr. Clark gently took her hand. "He was brave. Both he and Ethan sacrificed everything trying to reveal the truth." For the first time in decades, Ethan's mother felt a painful yet profound peace. The anguish and uncertainty that had defined her life now gave way to pride, love, and closure. Robert and Ethan Miller were heroes, father and son united by courage and sacrifice. Days later, Josh and Liam, now physically recovering but forever changed, appeared together before global media. Cameras flashed as journalists eagerly recorded their powerful testimonies. They bravely shared details of their captivity, the hidden horrors of Mount Aspiring's tunnels, and the criminal network that nearly took their lives. Liam, battling nerves but standing bravely, recounted openly his struggle with claustrophobia and anxiety, explaining how friendship and hope helped him survive. "Josh saved my life," Liam declared, voice steady and emotional. "Without him, I wouldn't be here today." Josh, moved deeply, spoke with honesty and humility. "I carried deep guilt after leaving my job as a policeman," he admitted openly. "But this experience taught me something profound. Real courage isn't being fearless, it's acting even when terrified." Ethan showed us that, even at the end. Their powerful words inspired millions worldwide, sparking discussions on bravery, trauma, and resilience. Soon after the rescue, Queenstown held a heartfelt ceremony honoring Noah and Mr. Clark for their fearless investigation. Police and government officials publicly apologized for years of neglect and pledged sweeping reforms. Accepting the award, Mr. Clark reminded everyone that pursuing justice for Ethan, Josh, and Liam had revealed truths bigger than them all and urged never to ignore hidden dangers again. Healing followed. Families reunited and rebuilt their lives. Sarah watched Liam regain strength. Mr. Clark cherished every moment with Josh. Ethan's mother, finally at peace, became an advocate for missing adventurers' families. Months later, Mr. Clark climbed Mount Aspiring one last time. Reaching a windswept plateau, he placed Ethan's silver medal beside a simple wooden cross and whispered, "Rest easy. You finished what your father started." Bathed in the mountain's golden sunset, he felt closure and hope. Back in Queenstown, Noah met him with a quiet smile. Together, they walked home, knowing the mountain's darkest secrets were laid to rest and that, even in deep shadows, courage and hope endure.